You probably clicked on this video thinking your bladder was causing you to wake up and pee in the middle of the night. And while that may be true in some cases, most of the time it's a sleep or behavior issue, not a bladder issue. And if you're waking up more than once to pee in the middle of the night, you might have a problem. Not only is it annoying to get up in the middle of the night, but it reduces the total amount of sleep you're getting, it reduces the quality of sleep, and it causes unnecessary stress on your body. And this can lead to you feeling unrefreshed in the morning, brain fog, and a lack of energy throughout the day. You make worse decisions, and you generally feel more irritable towards other people. So in today's video, I want to explain what is causing you to wake up to pee in the middle of the night, how you can figure out your own root cause, and solutions you can implement today to reduce or eliminate the number of times you're waking up to pee in the middle of the night. Now, before we get started, I want to quickly introduce myself. My name is Trevor, and I help growing entrepreneurs achieve consistent high quality sleep. And in my own journey to achieving high quality sleep, waking up to pee in the middle of the night has been one of my biggest struggles. And there was a time where I was consistently waking up 3+ times a night, and this destroyed my sleep quality. And once I started tracking my sleep, I tried many fixes, and I was still waking up in the middle of the night. And some things that I tried were insomnia therapy, sleep hygiene, sleep apnea therapies, food management, strange supplements, food experiments, stress management, bladder exercises, and gut healing protocols. But I was still waking up, and this made me so angry. I had low energy throughout the day. I was waking up unrefreshed. I had brain fog, terrible mood, and poor decision making. And I wanted to make this video to give you a roadmap so you can figure out what might be causing your nocturnal wake-ups. And a lot of the time, it's not a single one of these causes. It's actually multiple causes that you need to work through. So I want to get into that today. And the first cause, and one of the biggest factors, is an undiagnosed sleep disorder. And some of these undiagnosed sleep disorders include sleep apnea, restless leg syndrome. They can be parasomnias or narcolepsy, although those are more rare. And one of the biggest issues for people waking up to pee in the middle of the night is sleep apnea. And what happens is you stop breathing, your body goes into a sympathetic state, like, wake up, you're not breathing. And so you wake up, and then because you're up, you're like, okay, I might as well go and pee. It's not that you needed to actually pee, it's that you stopped breathing, so your body woke you up. And because you're up, you're like, might as well pee. And in a landmark study, researchers observed 80 participants who had an overnight sleep lab study. And what they found was that when these participants woke up to pee in the middle of the night, 80% of the time it was directly linked to a sleep disorder like sleep apnea, restless leg syndrome, snoring. And another interesting finding is when they asked these participants what was waking them up in the middle of the night, 95% of them said it was because they had to pee, not a sleep disorder, highlighting how important it is to make sure to check if you have one of these sleep disorders. Now, the next reason you might be waking up to pee in the middle of the night is an overactive nervous system. Your body is spending too much time in that sympathetic state, in that fight or flight mode, and this is causing you to be always on. It's like you always have your foot on the gas pedal, and this can cause a lot of stress on your body. And the reason for this is because you're constantly doing things throughout the day and throughout the evening. You do deep work, then you respond to messages while eating, then you take sales calls. Then in the evening, you do more work. You watch TV, you scroll on your phone. And what you're doing is you're constantly stimulating your sympathetic nervous system. You're not giving your body a chance to switch into that parasympathetic state. And that state is crucial for your body to recover. And when you're going to bed in a more sympathetic dominant state, then your body is going to be more alert for threats. It's going to be actively looking to try to protect you throughout the night because it's in that fight or flight mode. And because of this, you're going to be more sensitive to internal sensations like the need to pee or pain you might be experiencing throughout the night. And then also to external factors like noise or temperature changes. And this is going to increase the amount of times you're waking up throughout the night. And like we mentioned in the previous section, it's not the fact that you need to pee. It's the fact that you're up and your body's like, might as well go pee. Now, the next reason you might be waking up in the middle of the night to pee is because of insomnia. You're waking up in the middle of the night needing to pee and you feel frustrated or angry or maybe even fearful. And this is triggering a stress response. It's activating your sympathetic nervous system. And this is conditioning your brain to believe that these nocturnal awakenings are actually a threat to our survival. And because you've reconditioned your brain to believe that waking up to pee in the middle of the night is a threat to our survival, your brain is going to start scanning for that threat throughout the night. It's going to try to fight the wake-ups. It's going to try to run away from the wake-ups. And in order to do this, it needs to be in that sympathetic state. And again, this goes back to our previous reason. It's going to make us more sensitive to these internal sensations or external factors, which is going to cause us to wake up more throughout the night. And because we're up, we're going to go and try to use the restroom. Now, the next reason you might be waking up in the middle of the night to pee is because you have incorrect fluid management. You might be drinking too much fluid throughout the day. You're pounding 5 of those 1 liter Spring Valley water bottles, and that is just way too much fluid for most people. Or you have incorrect fluid timing, or you're working out late at night and then you drink a bunch of water close to bed. Or you might be consuming diuretics in the evening, things like coffee, alcohol, blood pressure medication. And what diuretics do is they make you pee more. They cause your kidney to produce more urine relative to how much liquid you are consuming. So for example, let's say you're at a business dinner and you have a glass of wine. Studies have shown that a single glass of wine will cause you to pee out 4 glasses of water. And this can absolutely be a contributing factor to you waking up and peeing in the middle of the night. And if you consume salty or sugary foods close to bed, this can also increase the likelihood that you get up to pee in the middle of the night. And this can especially be the case for sugary foods if you are pre-diabetic or diabetic. Now, the next reason you might be waking up to pee in the middle of the night is because you have poor sleep hygiene. And poor sleep hygiene is usually not the main reason why you're waking up to pee in the middle of the night, but it can definitely contribute to the overall problem. So firstly, it could be a sleep environment issue where the temperature's off in your bedroom, noises are waking you up at night, it's too bright in your bedroom, or your partner is disrupting your sleep. Next, your circadian rhythm might be unaligned. You have an inconsistent wake time, you're not getting bright morning lights, you have bright lights on in the evening, and you have inconsistent meal timing. And finally, you might have some poor sleep habits like scrolling on your phone in bed, having big meals close to bed, taking stimulants or other drugs close to bed, intense workouts close to bed. These can all increase the likelihood that you wake up to pee in the middle of the night. Now, the final reason you might be waking up to pee in the middle of the night is because you do have a bladder or medical issue, and this can be more common for adults above the age of 50. And one reason adults above the age of 50 might get up to pee more in the middle of the night is because they have less ADH being released while they sleep. And ADH is a hormone that tells our body not to pee. So it can be completely normal for adults above the age of 50 to get up to pee once a night. Now, the bladder and medical issues that could be contributing to you waking up to pee in the middle of the night could be an overactive bladder, an enlarged prostate, a UTI. It could be medical issues like diabetes, liver issues, heart issues, kidney issues. And for that reason, I will not be discussing the solutions to these in this video. Instead, you should definitely consult your doctor if you believe you might have one of these. And again, if you're under the age of 50, it's less likely that these are going to be why you're waking up to pee in the middle of the night. Now, before we move on to the solutions, I want to lay out a couple rules on how to implement these solutions. And the reason I'm telling you this is to save you time and pain. Okay, so firstly, follow the order of the solution. I've ordered these solutions from most common to least common in order to save you the most amount of time and have the least amount of pain while doing this. Secondly, I want you to remember that there could be multiple reasons for why you're waking up to pee in the middle of the night. So there might be multiple solutions to your problem. So you're going to want to try a lot of these solutions. Lastly, you want to be patient. It might take some time to actually see some results. And you want to make sure that you are sticking with a solution long enough to actually see it through. And one mistake I made on my own journey is I wouldn't stick with a solution long enough to see if it was actually the root cause. And I just jumped to the next solution and the next solution. And this caused me to not get anywhere with reducing the amount I'm waking up to pee in the middle of the night. And it caused me a lot of pain and lost time. So make sure you stick with a solution long enough to actually see it through. So the first solution is to fix your sleep disorder. Like we talked about, undiagnosed sleep disorders are the leading cause for you to wake up to pee in the middle of the night. And most specifically, sleep apnea is the most common sleep disorder. And some signs of sleep apnea are you're gasping for air in the middle of the night, waking up. You wake up with dry mouth or headaches. You wake up with your heart racing and you have vivid dreams, or your partner notices that you snore. These can all be signs that you have sleep apnea. And not to mention, the biggest sign is waking up in the middle of the night to pee, especially multiple times. And in order to check if you actually have sleep apnea, you need to do a sleep study. And there's two different types of sleep studies. There's an in-lab sleep study, and this is going to be more accurate at detecting different severities of sleep apnea. And it's also going to be able to detect other sleep disorders. And you have the in-home sleep lab. And this is going to be more convenient, but it's not going to be as accurate. And it's only really going to be able to detect moderate to severe sleep apnea, not more mild sleep apnea or other sleep disorders. So there are two types of solutions when you're solving for sleep apnea. There's medical solutions and natural solutions. For the medical solutions, they provide instant relief, but they're not usually a long-term fix. And the gold standard for sleep apnea is a CPAP. And a CPAP basically makes sure your airways don't collapse in the middle of the night by providing air. And some other solutions include something like the Excite OSA. This is what I personally use. It's for milder forms of sleep apnea, and it stimulates your tongue so your tongue doesn't block your airway in the middle of the night. Now, there's also things like surgery. There is mandibular device, which is something you put in your mouth. And there are a lot of other solutions for sleep apnea in the medical world that people are developing. So definitely keep your eyes open for those and talk to your doctor, of course. And then the next set of solutions are natural solutions. And these include things like breathing exercises and myofunctional therapy. So strengthening the muscles that might be blocking our airways. And these are more long-term solutions, but they do take more time, and you have to be committed to doing them before you actually see results. Now, the next solution is to manage stress. This is going to be very important if you feel like you have an overactive nervous system. You feel like you're always on, you're always doing work, and you have trouble shutting off and relaxing. And the first solution to manage stress is to have a wind down routine. So 1 to 2 hours before bed, just wind down and relax before you actually go to sleep. This can include activities like reading, listening to relaxing music while stretching, doing some breath work before bed. You want to shift our nervous system into a parasympathetic state. And if we're able to do that before bed, we're going to significantly reduce the chances that we wake up in the middle of the night to go pee. Next, we can take micro breaks. And micro breaks are 5 to 15-minute breaks that we take throughout the workday in order to make sure our stress levels don't get too high. These are things like walking, meditating or breath work, eating lunch without your phone. These are all examples of micro breaks. And our main goal with micro breaks are to shift our nervous system from a sympathetic state to a parasympathetic state, because that is when we get true recovery, is when we're able to shift into this relaxing mode, this rest and digest mode. And if you're interested in learning more about how to shut off your overactive nervous system, I have a 15-minute video on my channel that goes into depth about this topic. Now, the next solution is to manage fluids, and most adults need to drink about 80 ounces of fluid per day. Now, if you work out or you go in the sauna, take a hot bath, live in a warmer climate, then you're going to need to consume more fluids. And fluids are not just water. They also include things like juices, milk, soups. Anything in liquid form is considered a fluid. And also foods like fruits and vegetables contain a high amount of water, and they contribute to your overall fluid load. Next, we want to front load our fluids in the first 10 hours of waking. And the reason for this is because our kidneys are very circadian dependent, and our kidneys are most active in the first 10 hours of waking. So they're going to filter out fluids at a very fast rate. But in the second half, when we are in the evening and when we're sleeping, our kidneys are a lot less active. So they're going to filter out fluids at a much slower rate. And this is going to significantly increase the chances that you wake up to pee in the middle of the night. So what we want to do is drink most of our fluids or eat most of our fluids in the first 10 hours of waking. Next, we want to time our diuretics properly. So if you're drinking alcohol, you should stop drinking alcohol at least 3 hours before bed. And if you're taking blood pressure medication in the evening, try talking to your doctor and seeing if you can move that to the morning so we can prevent it from having any effects on our sleep. And lastly, if you're drinking coffee, try to stop drinking coffee at least 10 to 12 hours before bed. And lastly, we want to try to avoid salty and sugary foods 3 to 4 hours before bed. Sugary foods, again, are going to be important if you are pre-diabetic or diabetic. Now, the next solution is to optimize your sleep environment. And I just want to reiterate, this is probably not going to be the main solution, but it can absolutely help you reduce the number of times you're waking up to pee in the middle of the night. Now, the first step is to optimize your sleep environment. We want our sleep environment to be cold between 60 and 67 degrees. You can do this by turning on AC or opening up a window. Next is we want it dark, and we can do this by wearing an eye mask or get blackout curtains. And next we want it quiet. So you want to wear earplugs or play a white noise machine if there are loud noises around. And if your partner is disrupting your sleep, you want to try something like a sleep divorce where you sleep in separate rooms. And if you have kids or pets disrupting your sleep, you might want to try removing them from your bedroom. Next, we want to align our circadian rhythm. In order to align our circadian rhythm, we're going to get 5 to 10 minutes of morning sunlight. If it's a cloudy day, bump that up to 10 to 20 minutes. After that, you want to have a consistent wake up time. You want to wake up at the same time every day. Now, you can be off by 30 or even 60 minutes, but try to stay consistent, especially on the weekends. And after that, we want to avoid bright lights 1 to 2 hours before bed. You can do this by dimming the lights around your house and also wearing blue light blocking glasses. Lastly, we want to improve our sleep habits. Now, there are so many examples I could run through, but here are just a couple. Firstly, we want to avoid eating heavy meals 3 to 4 hours before bed. We want to avoid intense exercise 2 to 3 hours before bed. And you want to avoid consuming alcohol or marijuana at least 3 hours before bed. The next solution is to fix your insomnia. And I recommend that you go through each of these solutions before you try to fix your insomnia. Number one, insomnia can take a long time to fix. And number two, if you know that you've tried all these other solutions going into insomnia treatment, it's going to make the process a whole lot easier. And like I previously mentioned, insomnia is our brain believing that waking up to pee in the middle of the night is a threat to our survival. So in order to fix our insomnia, we have to reprogram our mind to believe that waking up in the middle of the night to pee is not a threat to our survival. And once we do this, we can sleep peacefully again and stop waking up in the middle of the night to pee. Now, the gold standard for fixing your insomnia is cognitive behavioral therapy. And this includes things like sleep restriction, fixing your sleep mindset, stimulus control practices like using the bedroom for sex and sleep only, and not watching the clock throughout the night. And there are a number of practitioners, programs, apps that all do this. Now, the next form of therapy is acceptance and commitment therapy. And the whole point of this therapy is to stop fighting insomnia. Stop trying to fix waking up in the middle of the night to pee and instead accept it. And it sounds kind of stupid, but it actually works, because a lot of the times, if you're at this stage and you're trying to solve your insomnia, you are actually the one who is causing yourself to wake up and pee in the middle of the nights. And when we reprogram our brain to view waking up in the middle of the night as not a threat, then we stop creating that stress response, which is waking us up. And then we can start peacefully sleeping through the night again. Now, there are a lot of practitioners and programs out there who actually combine the best of both of these therapies, and those can be extremely effective. Now, the last solution is to fix your bladder or medical issues. And if you've tried all of these solutions and you've actually stuck through each one, then you should consult your doctor about fixing your bladder or medical issues. And again, if you're over the age of 50, it's going to be much more likely that you might have one of these issues. So I want to quickly recap the solutions. The first step is to figure out, do you have a sleep disorder? And if you do, you want to solve that sleep disorder. The next solution is to manage your stress levels. This is especially true if you feel like you're always on, you can't shut off. Then you want to implement a wind down routine and take micro breaks throughout the day. Next, you want to manage fluids. You want to drink about 80 ounces of fluid per day. You want to front load your fluids to the first 10 hours of waking, and you want to time diuretics properly and also avoid salty and sugary foods 3 to 4 hours before bed. Next, you want to optimize your sleep hygiene. You want a sleep environment that is cold, dark, and quiet. You want to align your circadian rhythm by getting morning sunlight, having a consistent wake time, and avoiding bright lights 1 to 2 hours before bed. Then you want to improve your sleep habits. Things like avoiding heavy meals 3 to 4 hours before bed, avoiding alcohol and marijuana 3 hours before bed, and avoiding intense workouts 2 to 3 hours before bed. And next, you want to fix your insomnia. You want to reprogram your mind to view waking up in the middle of the night not as a threat, but actually as a friend. And finally, you want to fix your bladder or medical issues if none of these other solutions have helped you make any progress and reduce the amount of times you're waking up to pee in the middle of the night. Now, if you follow this framework, you are going to figure out the root cause of why you get up to pee in the middle of the night. And of course, you can turn to a short-term solution and get some relief. But when that solution stops working, you're going to go back to having poor sleep, terrible energy, and worse mental performance throughout the day. So why not bite the bullet? Why not take the time to figure out the root cause and solve this issue forever so you can consistently get amazing sleep and transform your health, energy, and mental performance? I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them below and I will answer them.